Locho sampo pa gyo trashi pa tuche tempe trile yarnoda pelge drolor zampe tse parache palden lame shabla solvade Omo a guru vajra dara suma timonisha sane karm uta vardanya shri bara varsa manya sarva siddhi hum Om a guru vajra dara suma timonisha sane karm uta vardanya shri bara varsa manya sarva siddhi hum Om Guru Vajradhar Sumatimonish Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsamanya Sarva Siddhi Pakyuke Kudan Dagi Lu Pakyuke Sundan Dagi Nga Pakyuke tudan dagi tenyerme chiktu chingelo Makyuke kudan dagi alo Makyuke sundan dagi nga Makyuke tudan dagi tenyerme chiktu chingelo Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakya Muni Swaha Mahamuni Shakya Muni Swaha Om Muni Mahamuni Shakya Muni Swaha Sangye Chedan Tsoge Chonam La Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapso Chi Dagi Jinso Gibe Sonam Gi Drola Pinchra Sangye Druparasho Sangye Chodan Tsoge Chonam La Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapso Chi Dagi Jinso Gibe Sonam Gi Drola Pinchra Sangye Druparasho Sangye Chodan Tsoge Chonam La Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapso Chi Dagi Jinso Gibe Sonam Gi Drola Pinchra Sangye Druparasho In the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, I take refuge until enlightenment. Through the practice of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. Good morning. So we start with the praise and requesting the blessings of the lineage. Toje shugi tsonye tarachinte dripche munpa sanshin chukunke nigi si kandrola sedzepa kyepa la me tube wampuradu Chitu drola champa larzepe, tu sumon kuntu cham kun she trapa, gyawe gyatsa mi pangom poyalam, nine kube yiki chagiyatum. Devara shepa nige long tenchi, sabdan gyache tube lu sampo. Salte shinta che shin rabatrapa, zamli gendru choni la chatsen. Kare rawe korwe yonjondir, dögyu gondre dapton gepetsel, sartu shela gyawani madang, tsompara ngawe chamkun la maradu. Kange tin lewe sira ton samaki, lam santa we lo mi se tsepa. Che tsun lama ni mor jebewe, dani pe me si unjur tatu shun. By accomplishing the two accumulations through the power of compassion, the obscure of darkness is cleared and all phenomena are known. Whatever seen by you, you make it clear to my greatest. Munindra, Lord of the sages, unsurpassable refuge, to you I pay homage. Unique love for my greatest, which is embodied as a deity, renowned through the three times as the Lord of love, to the invincible protector, regent of the victorious, with respect from my heart, I prostrate with my mind. You have been prophesied by the Sugata, the one gone to bliss himself. The profound and vast pure traditions of the Capable One, by making them clear, you are renowned as the great chariot way openers. To the 6 ornaments and the 2 excellent ones of this world, I prostrate. In this land surrounded by a range of snow mountains, a garden blossoming with thousands of petals of sutras, tantras, and commentaries is refreshed, making you like the son of the victorious. To the praiseworthy Guru, gentle protector Lama Tsongkhapa, I pay homage. By seeing just a ray of light of your spiritual actions, you make the mind's eye for seeing the pure path clear. Venerable Guru, light that shines like the sun, please remain always at the center of the lotus at my heart. Page 11, pagina 11. Korde könyo malu pa semle jongwa yinu she, tube sheraba le shepe, le dre namche che namangi, semge sangde she parachen. The defects of samsara and the qualities of nirvana, without exception, derive from the mind, as said in Buddha's teachings. Those who have intelligence and discernment must give importance to knowing the secrets of the mind. We saw the first 3. We're starting from contact, then we saw sensation, feeling, and then discernment. Now we go to intention. Page number 22. Sempa kanshena sim ngombar ducheba yigilete, gewadang mi gewadang, lungtu matemba namla, sim jukparchebe lecheno. What is intention? Intention is the mental factor that is the action of mind which functions to direct the primary mind to its object of perception, thus having the function to enter into virtuous, non-virtuous, or neutral actions. Okay? So, like a magnet moves metal, the mental factor of intention moves and pulls the concomitant mind in an obligatory manner. There are 6 different intentions based on each of the 6 senses. The function of intention is to push and motivate the actions of body and speech in a general way. Intention is karma itself. So, the mental factor intention is basically what directs the mind. In every action that we do, the mind takes a direction towards something. The direction basically normally is based on 3 different types of actions that we can have or directions that we can take. It is based on attraction, aversion, and indifference. Okay? So, or is something that I want to gain, or something that I want to make distance, or something that I don't care really about. I don't care if it's distance or attraction. We have moments where we just generate this mind with, I don't care, indifference, okay? So, based on this, it is also connected with our sensation, our feeling. Because when we have something that generates us a feeling of suffering, what is the natural reaction we have? Aversion. Something that generates us a feeling of pleasure, what we have? Attraction. Okay? So, the intention is based on this. Then, it's a little bit more elaborate than just attraction and aversion. It's where do I direct my action? What do I want? What is my intention? What is my desire almost? Okay? So, what actually I want? We can understand this, for example, by seeing bodhicitta. No? Normally the description of bodhicitta, as said in the Abhisamaya Alankara, the other text which was also by Asanga and Buddha Maitreya, written by Asanga, which says, Semkhapa Nyishendo and Chirianda Zope Janchudu. The generation of the mind is for the benefit of others, Semkhapa Nyishendo Chir, Yanda Zope Janchudu, and the desire to reach the ultimate state of enlightenment. Which means that the bodhicitta has 2 aspirations, or 2 intentions. Semkye Dumba Niden, it's called in Tibetan, no? Which in the definition normally we say, Shendo doyanda barzobe janju la miche rangi tenzochan, rangi tenzochan donyegi dumba dans, rangi tenzochan donyegi dumba dan, shendo gi dumba da randu gi dumba we call, which means we have 2 intentions, 2. Okay, sorry, now here I made a small confusion. No. Luckily I had memorized this before. Okay, no. Go back. We have the intention is the basis of the motivation. The thing which I just said about bodhicitta, forget about it for a second. I confused myself with the next one. We have here the intention. The intention is the basis of our action, as I was saying. Okay, after I will correct the Italian. The intention is the basis of our action, which is where we wish for something, where we put ourselves, what do I want? I want to go to this or I want to go to that. But basically it is this fundamental motivation of attraction and aversion or indifference. This is the basis form of our motivation, okay? The intention is what defines our action. It what defines the action, if it's a positive action or if it is a negative action, or what we do, why we do. So it is on the basis of every action is intention. That's why it says that intention is the karma itself. Because when we talk about karma, karma actually means the action, and what is defining the action, the direction that we give to it. So when I say something, when I do something, really, why am I doing it? It depends on my intention. Okay? And deeply, if we have the ability to look upon ourselves and to know a minimum of sincerity towards ourselves, we cannot hide our true intention. Sometimes we have so much, our mind is maybe too confused, we may not be able to see it clearly. But in the moment that we open a little bit ourselves and we then we have a little bit more clarity. We will always be able to see our true motivation of why we do something. Okay, so it is like intention is the basis of karma, which is even when we talk about, for example, the action of speech and the action of body. For example, when I say something, it's an action of speech. When I act physically, it's an action of body. But it is said in this context that the actual karma is the mental factor intention, while the physical action and the verbal action is the pathway of the action. It's a pathway of the karma. It's the one through which the karma happens. But still, there is something that we need to remember, that it's not because I have a good intention that all my action necessarily will be good. Because we need to have, that's why it's not enough to have compassion or a good intention. We need also to have awareness and wisdom. So, for example, I am cooking and teaching children how to make chocolate cake. I am in the 10th floor of a building. And then what happens is that suddenly the oven that I'm using starts to get on fire. And comes out a very strong toxic smoke because plastic is getting on fire, whatever. And I have no way how to put the children out of the room because it's locked. I have 30 children there with me. I want to save them. I don't want them to be harmed. So what I do, I take the oven, even hurting my hands, and I throw it out of the window. Because the way how I find to save the children. So my intention is good. But what happens is that the oven falls on the head of a person that is passing by. And he dies. So what happens? My intention in the action was good. Yes. Did I save the children of the danger of the smoke and so on? Yes. But did I kill that person? Yes. So am I responsible for that action or not? Yes, I am responsible. Okay. So it doesn't take away from me the responsibility of my action because I didn't have the intention of doing it. Sure, the action is not complete. And the action is not complete basically because there is no intention, there is not making the action, there is just the completing of the action, and there is no rejoicing also. For the action to be complete, I would need to think, I want to kill that person. I look the person coming, I calculate the distance and the time, and I throw the oven. It hits the head of the person, I did it. So I rejoice about it. Then the action is complete. So there is a tremendous difference between killing the person without having the intention, without making the action, and without rejoicing, by accident, and doing it with the actual intention. It's like if a person is driving a car and by accident hits someone. It's a big difference. The person is still responsible. But it's a big difference if I am driving and then I go to look at the person and I direct myself towards the person and I want to kill him. It's a complete big difference between one and the other. Also legally. Okay? So, what happened here is that the karma is defined by the intention. But this doesn't mean that we are not responsible for physically and verbally what we say and what we do. Okay? It still have consequences. That's why it's not enough to have a good intention. We know we need wisdom also. We need awareness. We need wisdom at the same time also. Okay? We could make the metaphor in which we put that the action that we do physically and verbally and mentally also, the thoughts and so on, is like taking the bow and an arrow and pulling the bow and letting go the arrow. That's the action. The mental factor intention is the direction that we give to the bow. That will change the whole result of where the arrow will get to. Okay? So the intention is the direction of our actions. And it is extremely important. So for example, if an action is a mundane action or is a spiritual action, it will depend on the mental factor intention. Why am I doing this? What is the direction that I am giving to this? Am I doing something only for my benefit, I'm doing it for the benefit of others, I'm doing just because I want to have fame and recognition in this life and money and pleasures and so on, or I'm doing to develop something that transcends this life. In other words, I have attraction and aversion, but where do I direct it? How do I direct this attraction and aversion? Okay? And it's something that is not conceptual, it's something that is deep within ourselves. It's like the deepest aspects of our motivation, of our intention. Okay? And we all the time, we always have intention, so we have always accumulating karma. Every time, every instant. Okay? Well. There is no such a difference of what comes first, intention or attraction, aversion. Intention is within attraction or aversion. It's how it manifests. I want this or I don't want it. Okay? So, one important thing for us to understand, and here I put one question, okay, which I will not give the full answer because I think I don't have it. And I think it's actually, I'm very happy to have this doubt, because I believe that it's so important to make questions and not to take things for granted. No? The question is the following. In the moment that we put the 5 mental factors, they have the 5 concomitant aspects. And one of them is to have the same time. So the 5 mental factors, they arise, they remain, and they end together. Okay? So this is one point. But at the same time, there is a relation of cause and effect between them. And something that has a relation of cause and effect cannot be simultaneous. Okay? So, the sensation cannot arise without the contact. So one answer would be, which it's the way how I somehow I thought, but analyzing it better at this moment, I think is not really functioning well, this answer. It's not sustainable, in which we say, okay, our mind works in a flow of thoughts. We always have the 5 mental factors, sure. But from one thought is like coming the next. So while I'm having one contact, I'm also having a sensation that is the result of the previous contact. Okay? And the present contact is the cause of the next sensation. Okay? But it's not functioning in that way. Why? Because all the 5 mental factors, they need to be simultaneous and they must have the same object of perception. So when we take an example of the sounds that we listen of the singing bowl, okay, is one primary mind that perceives the sound of the singing bowl. Okay? But in this primary mind must have 5 mental factors. Contact, sensation, feeling, discernment, intention, and attention. So, how can I generate simultaneously at the same time sensation and contact? I think it's not possible, because first, inevitably, the sound waves will touch my ear and will access the sound, the ear sense power. Okay? And at that point, what will happen is that my mind will be aware that sound arrived to me. Okay? Without the basis of contact, and this is in the definition of the other mental factors, there is no sensation. So sensation is a result of contact. Okay? It can be a microsecond in between the two, but there must be something in between. Then, based on contact, then we can have sensation and discernment. And based on sensation and discernment, then we will have intention and attention. If we explain in another way, is first I enter in contact with the object, then from that I have a sensation and I have a discernment. And based on the sensation and the discernment, based on the feeling and the discernment, then I will generate attraction or aversion. and I will direct myself on one way or another. Okay? So, if we look, this is the way, how this can be also simultaneous and what we mean by being simultaneous here is a question that arises to my mind, because if simultaneous means actually effectively being generated exactly together and end exactly together, then we have a problem. At least it looks like for me. If it means that, okay, I play the bell, and as I played, I have all the 5 mental factors, omnipresent mental factors arise, sure. But there is a minimum, there is a moment, even though it must be very, very, very brief, in which the sound arrives and I have not yet given a sensation or a name to it. Yeah. I have not explained attention in English. Oh, sorry. Sorry for the lack of attention. Okay, sorry. It's just because I got fixed into this problem. Okay, so we go to attention. Attention is quite simple, actually. Yila cheba kanshena simgi jukpates, mikbala simzimbe leche no. What is attention? Attention is the mental factor that has the function of directing the primary mind to its object of perception and holding it there. Sempadan yila cheba nigi kebar ni, sempe ni, semchir yula yowardan, yowar cheba yinlas, yila chebe ni, yul chetrakpala, sem chokpar chebe sos. Along the other associated mental factors, attention, it fixes the mind on specific details of the object of perception, while intention functions to direct the primary mind to the object in a general manner. Attention functions to direct the mind to specific aspects of the object of perception. So basically, intention is attraction, aversion, indifference, making it simple. Okay? Attention is what will I do in order to get near or far or to remain neutral to that object. So it is like, if we make an example, which I did before, it's like, okay, I look at the glass, I generate attraction, I want it. So this is the intention. I want the glass. I want to be near to the glass. I direct myself towards the glass with attraction. That's the intention. The attention is where I look. Where is the glass? How it is positioned? How far it is from me? How can I get it? So then I am already looking at the details on how to gain it, how to bring it towards me. Okay? So, intention is the general, where the mind in general way directs towards the object. Attention is where it enters into details and it goes into how do I get it. Okay? This is the main thing. Like, let's say, I don't want to be here. How do I get out? I don't want to be here is the intention. How do I get out is the attention. Okay? So this is the intention directs us towards the object with or attraction or aversion or indifference. And the attention is the one that enters into more detailed finding the way how to make it happen. Okay? I think it's quite clear, right? So, going back to my problem, the fact is that we have these 5 mental factors, and when we have an experience, they are all present, but I'm sure somehow this doubt comes to me that there is some time in between, a lap in between them, a time lapse between them, because it's like when we observe ourselves, no? When we're listening to a sound or when looking to an image, I think there is a very, very, very short time period in which we have the contact, but it has not yet generated the sensation or the discernment. Okay. Otherwise, it would not be the basis for it. If we look at the actual definition, no? If we go to the definition of sensation itself. Or this definition of discernment. And the definition of discernment is very clear. It says, by through the gathering of the specific aspects of the object. Okay? So what is making the gathering? What is actually putting the three together? Is contact. So first there must be contact in order for me to be able to name it and in order for me to be able to experience it. From naming and experiencing come intention, and with intention come attention. Okay? So we could say in this way that somehow a complete thought, it's not generated in an instant. It has its process of being generated. First there is the contact, and then the contact is like building up. The contact, from the contact comes sensation and discernment. From that it comes intention and attention. And by that I have the full primary mind formed. Once it's there, then the five are together. Because the contact remains. It's like when I listen to the sound, the contact remains, the sensation remains, the discernment remains, the intention and the attention remains. So once I generate this five, it's like if the thought is complete, that primary mind is complete, and then it remains with all the five simultaneously. And when they end all together. Okay? So this is just to have one doubt that came to me according to the way how it is explained. So, but I think with this we can have some general idea about the five omnipresent mental factors, right? Sorry? If discernment changes the feeling, the way how discernment changes the feeling, I believe, is that through discernment we can generate a new object of perception, which is a mental object of perception. So it will not change the feeling, it will generate a new feeling through a new perception. And it's a new object, it's a new primary mind. Okay? Because then, through discernment, what I can have is I will change, then it may bring me a memory, it may bring me an idea, so it can change the feeling, yes. Okay? Sensation is not a product of karma. Intention is. It's the result through sensation, yes? Hmm? Hmm? No, they are not. No. In both of those, there is not. In sensation, there is no attraction, no aversion, no indifference. In sensation. Sensation is the basis to generate attraction, aversion, and indifference. In sensation, there is not. It's the basis to generate. Yes, sure. Yeah. So one thing is the pleasurable sensation. The other thing is the attraction towards the object that generates me that pleasure. It's two different things. They are connected, but they are two different things. Okay. We can train ourselves in a way. We cannot choose because it's not a conceptual thing. But yes, we can choose. We could say yes. We can choose. Yes. But we need to train in order to generate in oneself and to direct our mind in a way or another. Okay. The intention is the basis of the motivation. Why I do, what do I want? It's not why, it's what do I want. Truly, the basis of our motivation is the intention. The motivation is not made only with the intention. There is also the aspiration that will come later. Okay? But the basis of the motivation is the intention. Okay? Well, I think with this we complete this part. Okay? Otherwise, as I said, these are subjects that we can go on and on and on. But the important thing here is that to have a general understanding about the five omnipresent mental factors, and this gives us the basis to understand how we perceive things. Okay? So we have contact, sensation, discernment, intention, and attention. Okay? Well, now we go to the next part. So, the next part, we go to what are called the gülgyän, the 5 object ascertaining mental factors, or the 5 determining mental factors. And the specific characteristics of these mental factors is that the more they are present, the stronger is the perception of the object. Okay? So, let me read what I wrote here. The 5 object ascertaining or object determining mental factors determine the strength of a thought, or rather, the capacity of grasping the object. They are aspiration, firm apprehension, mindful recollection, concentration, and wisdom. They don't necessarily all need to be present, and they can even not be present at all in a primary mind. So, in a primary mind, we can have all the 5, or we can have none, or we can have 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. It doesn't matter. They are not connected as we saw before with the 5 omnipresent mental factors, okay? So let's start with the first. The first one is aspiration. Tönpa. Tönpa kanshena döbe ngobola tedante dembra che döba nites. Tsundru tsumpe tenchebe lechenon. What is aspiration? Aspiration is the mental factor that has the aspect of wishing to have, or to do something in relation to one's own object of desire. Its function is to be the basis of effort. It is the mental factor that directs the mind to one's own object of desire in order to obtain it. There are 3 forms of aspiration. The aspiration to meet the object, the aspiration not to be separated from the object, and the aspiration to wish for something. The function of aspiration is to give rise to effort. So, aspiration is basically directed when we direct the mind towards something that we wish. Sometimes people say, oh, but in Buddhism we say that we should not have desire. And some people ask, how can you live without desire? You are death, you have nothing if you don't have any, you need to have desire. One thing is desire in Buddhist terms, another thing is aspiration. Desire, later it will come as one of the root negative mental factors. And the desire is basically when we project our happiness in something that cannot sustain it. Okay? So this is basically when we talk about desire. Aspiration is wishing for something. It can be good or bad, but it's when we direct ourselves towards something. Okay? So, in relation to this, aspiration is very important because when there is aspiration, there is the energy to do something. If there is no aspiration for something, there is no energy for that. So aspiration is also connected to the view that we have of the future. Where do we project ourselves? What do we want? What do we imagine? And then we put energy in order to get that. Because we wish it for it, we want it. So aspiration has very much to do with what normally we are used to call desire. I want this, I want that. Okay? It's not good or bad by itself, depends what we want. Okay? Bodhicitta is a mental, bodhicitta is primary mind which is basically formed by aspiration. What is the aspiration in bodhicitta? It's the wish to reach enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. So there is this intention, there is the mind that directs oneself. It's like to say, I listen to a sound. The intention is I want to continue to listen to sound. I have attraction towards the sound. The attention, I try to understand, okay, I go looking, I want the sound, how do I get the sound? The aspiration already come. I always want to listen to the sound. I must have the sound. So what I will do, I need to buy a singing bowl for myself. Okay, the shop is open. So what we do is like, we generate a specific energy towards something. So within the intention is based on something that I want and that I do not have yet in this moment. Okay. Normally there are three different types of intention, of aspiration. And the three different types of aspiration is the aspiration to meet the object, which is something external that we do not have and we want to gain. There is the aspiration not to be separated from something. So I have an object and I don't want to be separated from it. And the next one is the aspiration to wish for something which I understand that is more related to something that we want to realize within ourselves. Okay? So, like when we make prayers, may the mind of bodhicitta which has not yet born arise and grow, which has born have no decline and increase forevermore. This is an aspiration that we are making. Okay? May the mind of enlightenment exist. May the mind of love and compassion be generated. May that it was generated do not degenerate. That's part of intention. That's part of aspiration that we create. Okay? So, if we don't have aspiration, we get blocked. It's like depressed. One of the definitions of a depressed person, we could say, is a person without aspiration. Because if there is no aspiration, there is no energy, there is no focus, there is no effort. I don't want. I'm just here. I don't want anything. So, it is something that we can generate. Okay? So, aspiration is something very good, but it can be negative when we aspire for something that is not good for us. Okay? But when there is aspiration, it makes our mind to focus much more strongly into that specific object. Okay? So this is, in few words, what we call aspiration. Next one. Bene. Next one. Tönpa. Mindful recollection. Tönpa kanshena. Tönpa ngobola semgi jeba mebate. Number miyongwe lechino. What is mindful recollection? It is the mental factor that has the aspect of not forgetting the previously ascertained object. It has the function of keeping the mind from being distracted. Kecho sumden gerikpa shiko. Kecho sumni. Yulgi kebar jibe ngobo. Nambe kebar yultela migne jeba meba. Chelegi kebar number miyongwar cheba o. It has the function of not letting the mind be distracted. It is the basis of concentration. Mindful recollection has three qualities or three aspects, which are the quality of the object, which is being acquainted with the specific object, the quality of appearance, which is by focusing on that object, does not forget it, and the quality of function, which is not being distracted. So, when there is this mindful recollection, which in other words nowadays is well known as mindfulness. So nowadays there is a lot, it's like it's mindfulness is becoming more and more into, fashion. It's becoming more and more well known and into fashion. Mindfulness and mindfulness here and there. When something becomes very much popular in this way, sincerely, it worries me a little bit. Because the tendency is that when something becomes very popular, after sometimes it becomes banalized. It's like it loses importance. It's like peace. To talk about peace nowadays, it's already old-fashioned. Sustainability, little bit better, but almost old-fashioned. Now it needs to be mindful. After some time, it's going to become old-fashioned also. Okay? This is the way how our society very often deal with things. You see, you talk about peace, it's not so, it's like not so much importance is given to it. Okay? So anyhow, this was just one stupid commentary. But the point is that mindfulness is this mental factor, which we translate also as mindful recollection. What is mindfulness? What is this mindful recollection? It's the mental factor which brings the ability to remain in one object. So if we take the example of the sound, I listen to the sound, then the mindful recollection has three aspects. One, I know the sound. I can listen to the sound. I get familiarized with the sound. I focus myself at the sound. Second, I don't let the mind go away from the sound. It remains there. Third, I do not allow other thoughts to come in. Okay? So these are the three aspects of mindful recollection, which is a very important and powerful mental factor. Because it's through mindful recollection that we can actually generate concentration. It's through concentration that we can develop better wisdom. And it's through concentration that we can develop our inner qualities and we can change our mind deeply also. So, how do we develop this mindful recollection? First of all, it can be present in all types of actions. But we need to start from the most simple and more gross level until we go to the deeper. Sometimes people may say, my important thing is to do the meditation and accumulate merits, and I am a tantric practitioner, and this things, is not so important. If we are not able to do the most simple things, we will not be able to do the most complex and profound ones. Okay? Sorry to be so direct. But we need to start from the simple things. We can also do more complex things in order to prepare to realize them, but we need to start from the simple things. And which are the simple things? Mindful recollection of our body, for instance. How do I walk? How do I sit? How do I answer? How do I talk? How do I listen? How do I smile? How do I look? My physical daily actions, how am I doing them? I am aware of what I am doing. As I take the object, I bring my attention to what I am doing. I focus my attention in what I am doing. I don't let other thoughts come in between as I do that action. And I do carefully, gently, and I am aware of it. I put it back with the same awareness in which I took the object. I am present in what I am doing. We need to train with the small things. When we eat, when we walk, when we cook, when we study, when we write, when we listen. It doesn't matter what we are doing. If we do what we do with mindful recollection, it makes that experience much more powerful. And also from a very mundane point of view, it's much more beneficial also, because if we need to write something and we have mindful recollection, in a much shorter period we are able to do it. If I need to write something and because I have in mind the subject that I need to write and I am thinking about it, or in between I think about 25 things, it's going to be much longer and much more difficult. If I need to listen, if I need to translate, if I need to cook, whatever I need to do, if I need to clean, presence in what I am doing. The more we have presence in what we do, the more things we are able to do. The more we mix up many things together, the less we are able to do. Okay? So, this is also one of the reasons why it's important. But how do we develop it again? First, we start by being aware of our body. It's like really trying to be careful, even, for example, when we put our clothes on, when we dress up. Okay, I take the clothes. I have awareness of the clothes I am wearing. I have awareness of not letting my mind go to other things and not let other thoughts come in. I put the clothes carefully. Or even if I need to do fast, but I put my attention into what I am doing at that moment. This is not important for dressing up. Who cares, But it's important to train ourselves. Because if we do not train ourselves into the small daily things, it would not be possible later to develop real mindfulness in the meditation, We need to have it into everything. So we start from the most simple things of our daily life. Second level is to have the mindfulness of our speech. What I say, how I say, when I say, what's the tone of voice that I'm using, all of this becomes part of it. So to observe what I do, to remain in what I am doing, awareness, mindfulness is not just to observe. Observe is just the first part, is to know what I am doing, to remain in what I'm doing and not let other thoughts come in. This is the mindful recollection, 3 aspects. Okay? And it is truly a very, very powerful tool. Because through this, then we can generate very good concentration, we can direct our mind, and so on. Okay? So this is the first basis. Be present in what we are doing. We choose the mind to be present in something, we remain with the mind present into that. But again, it's something that we need to train ourselves. Okay? So we need to start with the small things of our daily life. And the beautiful thing about this is something that we can train in everything we do in our life. We can train when we are eating, we can train when we are cooking, when we are cleaning, when we are cleaning the house. We can train this when we are writing, when we are reading, when we are listening, when we are singing, when we are enjoying something. If I drink something that is nice, I can do this with mindfulness. I am present in what I'm doing. I observe the taste as I drink. I remain with the mind in it. I don't let other thoughts come in as I drink the water, and I enjoy it. The pleasure will be much better. Okay? So this is something which is a very powerful tool that we have, and we need to cultivate it more and more. Okay? So, the next one, which we will see very briefly, is called concentration, tingedzing, which we explain now because directly connected with the one that we have just seen before, mindful recollection. And it says, tingedzing kanshena, takpe ngobola sem tsechik panite, shebe ten shebe lecheno. What is concentration? It is the mental factor that is directed single-pointedly to the imputed object of perception. It has the function of being the basis of wisdom. Here, wisdom refers basically to shamatha and vipassana that realizes emptiness. Okay? Takpe ngobola mikne gyünden to jokpe sem tsechikpaos is a mind that remains single-pointedly focused on the imputed object for a sustained period of time. So basically, concentration is like the next step after mindful recollection. Because once we bring our mind into something, we do not let the mind go into other objects. There is a point where it becomes single-pointed. There is no other object of perception other than the one that we are focused on. This is the moment that we develop concentration. Then this concentration, once it becomes spontaneous and blissful, it becomes shamatha. Once it's united with discriminating awareness, with bliss, with pleasure, then it becomes vipassana. Okay? But this is not the subject of now. Concentration itself, it's the ability to remain with the mind single-pointed on whatever we want. Even it's like, okay, we listen to a sound. First we develop the mindful recollection. We bring our attention present to the sound. We listen to it clearly. No mind, don't let the mind go out of the sound, and don't let other thoughts come in. Once we do that, and in the moment that the mind truly remains single-pointed in the sound, with no any other thought, with clarity, no distraction, at that point we develop concentration. Okay? Concentration is a state of relaxation. It's when the mind relaxes from the distractions in the object of perception. Okay? It's not an aspect, it's not tension, it's relaxation. Okay? So, it's a very powerful state of mind, concentration, because when we develop concentration, this will bring us naturally to have the ability to develop states of consciousness, which can be to develop the certainty of the preciousness of this life, or our own mortality, or understanding karma, or developing love and compassion and wisdom and everything else, once we have true concentration, we're able to focus our mind into a state of mind, then this helps us very much truly to develop it. Okay? So, in order to develop concentration, we need to concentrate, we need to sit down, we need to meditate, we need to use also the techniques to develop first mindfulness. Once we enter into the meditative concentration state, then we can let go a little bit the mindfulness, because we remain deeply on that. Then, if we're about to lose concentration, then the mindfulness recollection will come back again and protect the mind to remain into that object of concentration. Okay? All of this we can see when we have the detailed explanation how to develop shamatha and vipassana and so on. Okay? But in this point of explanation, concentration is a powerful mental factor, which is the ability to remain single-pointed in an object. And this is the ability that we have, but we need to develop. It's an ingredient that is in a little drawer closed somewhere. We need to, not so easy to go to get it, but we have this ingredient. We need to train to use it. It's a very powerful tool that we have also. And we have had experiences which are similar to this at least, which is, for example, I'm sure that many of us may have had the experience like when reading a book. It doesn't need to be a Dharma book. It can be a romance. It can be whatever, okay? And while reading that, we get so taken by it that there is a moment in which there is no more even the perception of turning the pages, the awareness of turning the pages. There is not even more the awareness of how much time is passing. We don't feel more the hunger. We don't feel more the thirst. There is no feeling hot or cold. Then suddenly it's like waking up from that moment, and then we start feeling the cold or the time that has passed and so on. Maybe we just enter into the subject that we are listening, into the story, into the point. This is a level of awareness, of mindfulness and concentration somehow, in a very mundane way, but it is there. So we have this ability also. It's like one day I was talking to the heads of a soccer fan club in Brazil by the Ministry of Sports. They invited me to talk to them in the Museum of Soccer in São Paulo. And there were like 150 of these guys that are used to, where their main thing is to go to the soccer games, and they are the heads of the organized fan clubs, no? And then I was talking to them about the importance of peace and different things. It was very nice. And then in one moment, I was explaining to them the importance of awareness and being present in the present moment, no? And then one of them, he made a question, he made a statement, he said, yes, it's just like when playing soccer. If you are playing soccer and you are near to go to be able to make a goal and you have the ball with you, and suddenly you start thinking about something else, you lose the ball. Your mind must be focused and present in what you are doing, otherwise you lose it completely. So, there are many things in life where we need attention, where we need mindfulness, where we need concentration also. You know? The actual concentration is when we become single-pointed into something, which is not so easy to have in our daily life. It's very difficult. Awareness is more easy, but it's another level that we need to develop. But once again, it's important that we need to develop these qualities within our daily life. So we start by having awareness, by focusing our mind in what we do. So when we listen to something, we listen to something. When we experience something, we experience it. When we do something, we do. We try to bring our attention and our presence in what we do. And it may not be comfortable, this process, not pleasurable. It is a way of training. Then gradually it becomes more pleasurable to be present in what we are doing. And by that it gives us the strength and the basis in order to develop real concentration. Okay? I think that actually, not true, no. Single-pointed concentration is not only in meditative state. We can develop also outside of meditative state. For example, when doing analytical meditation, when doing debate. I have had experiences when doing debate to completely lose the connection with time, place, and people around me, and just have the mind focus on the subject I am debating about. Then normally when finish this moment, it's like waking up from a dream almost, and then you start feeling the hand that is painful because after hitting so much the hand when doing the debate, and then you start seeing all the things. But it's like or the example I was giving before, we are reading something that then suddenly we wake up from that concentration state. Okay, so it is possible, and we all have this ability actually. Yeah. Yeah. My experience is that when doing debate, it is like the question you make and the answer the person gives becomes both part of the same process of reflection and understanding. It's like I make a question, you give an answer, but your answer is directing my next question and is directing my thought. So basically, we develop one line of thought, and the answer and the question are part of the same line of thought. So this makes it become like one thing only. This is the experience. Not always happens like this. There are moments where it's possible to experience. There are moments in which the answer the question that we make and the answer that the person gives, or vice versa, we feel like being disconnected somehow. This is the most common way. But there are moments in which it's possible to have one single line between what we answer question, the question we make, or the question the people make, and the answer we give, and it becomes one whole thing. This is very special experience. I have had it a few times, not so many times, but a few times, yes, during debate. And it's interesting because especially this sometimes happens for me it happened in occasions when being with many people around, like making public debates. And at a certain point, you lose the awareness of the people around, lose the awareness of where I am, what is happening, and then and even who am I debating with? There is no more the name of the person, the appearance of the person. You don't look anymore of the face he's doing, of the tone of voice he's using, or this or that. It's just the subject that you are debating about, and then it goes on. No? That's why it is said that through debate, it's possible to develop concentration, and we have the different levels of concentration, which is 9 steps of concentration until developing shamatha. And from the 9 we can reach, if I'm not wrong, until the 5th or the 6th with debating, for example. Okay, so and at other levels, then it needs to sit down and be in silent concentration. But this is possible. This is just to say that the concentration is not something that necessarily must be silent sitting. We can also have in other forms also. It is actually possible. I'm quite sure, for example, some athletes in some types of sports, they need to develop very strong concentration in what they are doing also, for instance. Okay? So it's something that we can train and apply to our lives. Okay? Jetsun lame kutse rapten chi namkar trinle cholchur gepadang losan tempe dreme sasumgi Drowe musel taltu ne gyurchi Nimo dele tsendele Nime kuyan delekshi Nintsen taktu delekpe Koncho sumge jinge Sumge ngodrub tsol Koncho sumge trashisho At dawn or dusk, at night or midday, may the three jewels grant us their blessings. May they help us to achieve all realizations and sprinkle the path of our lives with various signs of auspicion. Oma hun tenpa lame sangye rinpoche, kyoba lame tamcho rinpoche, trenpa lame gendo rinpoche, kyamne kuncho sumla chopa bul. Om ahum, om ahum, om ahum.